will say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right. Once again, we thank you for the co-creation of the interaction and the allowance of the transmission in this way. This transmission we have entitled, Are You Having a Near-Life Experience? Now, many of you are already aware, of course, that there is a growing number of reports of what you have termed near-death experiences on your planet, and that in most, if not all, of these near-death experiences, the people seem to be markedly changed when they return to your physical reality. They have been given perspectives, new insights, new understandings, and in returning with those new ideas, then they recognize their connection to all things. They begin to live their life more fully. They understand there is nothing to fear about death, that it is just a transition to another state, and that you will always exist. Even if you change form, you are always still going to be you. And in realizing all these things, they have a renewed respect, a profound renewal of energy and insight, and active in their lives they become. And they begin to really serve all in the best possible way, which of course is the best way to serve yourself. Now, the idea, of course, is that you don't necessarily need anymore to have a near-death experience in order to have a fuller life, in order to act more fully on the things that excite you. And so, unless, of course, that is what you actually prefer to have, we offer you this night the idea of what might be called a master permission slip, so that you can utilize this to begin to infuse your life with the same energy that will allow you to live your life much more fully without necessarily having to kill yourself to do it. Again, if you want to do that, we won't stop you. But we are letting you know that there are other ways in which this can be done, so that if you prefer another path, that other path is available to you by acting on your highest joy. Now, many people have asked from time to time for different kinds of permission slips by which they can help accelerate their energy, uplift their energy, align their energy more to the vibration of their true core self, their higher mind. And from time to time we have delivered, as we will this evening of your time, such permission slips. And again, for those who are not familiar with the term, a permission slip is simply any tool, any technique, any ritual, any object that you are attracted to with your present belief system that allows you to simply believe that you can give yourself more permission to be who you are. You're the one doing it, you're the one giving yourself permission, but sometimes, because we understand that many of the definitions within you are in your unconscious mind, you may not be necessarily aware of what is holding you back, but you can always know when you are attracted to a particular ritual, technique, tool, or object that seems to excite you more than any other path. And that is always an indication that at that moment, that will be the permission slip that may work best for you. Now, of course, when you use it, you may become a different person afterwards, which means that you may then, from that point forward, be attracted to a very different permission slip because you are now different. So if the attraction to different permission slips happens to change, that's all right. You can go with the flow. So in giving you this master permission slip, the reason it is called a master permission slip is simply because we have designed it specifically to key into the mass consensus archetypal symbols that are common for most of you based on the collective agreement you all made together to participate in what might be loosely called the Earth game. And because you have created a large collective unconsciousness and consciousness through which to play this game, many of you are automatically, unknowingly tapping into that archetypal level, that collective level. And so in designing this permission slip to take advantage of that connection, these ideas we present to you now may work for most of you. Now, the idea, of course, as we have already said, is that it is really up to you to decide what works for you as a permission slip. It's up to you to design the permission slip in whatever way you are most attracted to do so. Because you are the ultimate permission slip. And whatever excitement is conjured up in your imagination that is telling you to do this in this way as opposed to the way it might have initially been given to you is usually a sign that you are changing and that you need to go with the flow of the new frequency that's being presented to you through excitement and attraction and imagination. So when we give you this master permission slip, you can do it exactly as we have delivered it. But if you find along the way as you change that small alterations need to come into play, then by all means, do not worry. As long as you are following your true vibrational frequency, let the changes come and let it alter in whatever way actually feels better for you. Is that clear? Yes. All right. Now, before we actually go through the reading of this, you will be, of course, taking home a copy of this so that you can practice and have it before you and get used to it. We will also say that there is a very important part of this particular permission slip that is actually not written on the paper. That will come at the end after the reading, and we will explain why it is not actually written down. So, let us proceed. Nania! Would you like to assist?
I would love to assist.
All right. So prepare yourself. Are you prepared?
Getting prepared.
All right. I'm going to say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. Thank you. First and foremost, we will extend to each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively our deepest appreciation at the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission from our reality to yours in this way. Each and every time you afford us the opportunity to interact with all of you, you expand our awareness of all the ways that creation has of expressing itself. And so we thank you for the gift of allowing us to experience that expansion of the multidimensional crystal of creation. We would like to begin this particular transmission in the following way. You have been discussing for quite some time in your age of awareness, your age of cosmic expansion, the idea of dealing with balancing out polarity. You have experienced the idea of great polarity in your reality experience, and you understand that by balancing it out, you can allow yourself the opportunity to mitigate the effects of the negative side and give yourself the freedom to choose what you prefer from the positive side, unless, of course, you prefer the negative side, which many of you are saying you don't. But nevertheless, the idea is that balancing it all out will allow you to choose consciously and intentionally what you prefer. Now, the idea is that you have been thinking about this idea for a long time as polarity. But as many people are starting to realize, it really isn't the idea of polarity that is the nature of existence. The nature of existence is really a trinity. You have expressed this in a number of ways. The idea is that the balance point in the center is the third point. And the idea is that without that third point, without that trinity, without that balance point, then you are left dealing with the idea of polarity and all of the different kinds of experiences you have had within that particular domain. But if you are allowing yourself finally to recognize creation not just as a polarity, not just as a duality, but as a trinity, and you begin to allow yourself to awaken from that center point, which is where you really exist, in the here and now, in the present, in the center, then it is much easier to deal with the idea of the polarity of positive and negative on either side of that central third balance point, and you can allow yourself to lessen the effects that all of them have. You can neutralize all situations much more easily, and when they are all equally valid, when they are all equally neutral, then you can find that you have the ability to more effortlessly choose what you prefer without invalidating what you don't prefer. Remember that even negativity serves you in positive ways if you allow it to. Many people on your planet, because of the way they have been brought up, the way they have been taught to think, have a difficult time finding some of the positive ideas and applying them in their lives. Well, sometimes, because you're all very clever, you will go about it the opposite way. You will attract into your life something that is exactly the opposite of what you prefer in order to have a comparison, so that by seeing what you don't prefer so strongly, it makes it that much clearer what you do prefer. And thus you can use negative reality in a positive way by allowing it to remind you that that's not what you prefer so strongly that it finally allows you to move in the direction that you do prefer. In some ways, we have referred to this in the past as the rubber band analogy. You know that if you have a rubber band and you pull it back and pull it back and pull it back, the farther you pull it back, then of course once you let it go, it will snap that much farther and that much faster onto the other side. Well, you've been dealing with the idea of negativity for so long, with darkness for so long, so deeply, so profoundly, and you have pulled that rubber band back into the darkness so far. The good news is that when you finally let that go, you will snap that much farther, that much faster into the light. And that's what acceleration is all about. That's why it happens. So in a sense, again, you can see there are ways in which the idea of having explored negativity, once you let it go, can actually propel you and accelerate you in the direction of the light, in the direction of your true self, and allow you to experience all the fruits and the benefits of that release. Does this make sense to you? All right. So the idea, as you have labeled it, is that this is a time of what you have called cosmic awakening. What does that mean? All right, well, we'll tell you, thank you. The idea from our perspective is that you are awakening into the understanding that you are the cosmos, you are all that is. The idea of ascension, the idea of acceleration, the idea of consciousness expansion is, in a sense, at least from one perspective, the realization that you actually are the dimension of reality you previously thought you existed in. I'll repeat that. It's an awakening into the awareness that what you have called physical reality is not something that exists outside of you, it exists within you. It's your construction, your illusion, your projection, your creation in order to have a certain experience that you call space-time reality, in order to experience the idea of change, of self-discovery. Because if you exist in a timeless state, there is no change in a timeless state. If you want to experience a new perspective of yourself, you have to create the idea of forgetting who you are in a linear space-time framework in order to have the experience of remembering who you are from a different perspective, of discovering yourself anew from a new perspective. Because you see, the framework of existence, the structure of existence never changes. It's the perspective of the structure that changes, and the perspectives are infinite. And that new perspective, that new discovery, that new self-awareness from a new point of view, that's what expands creation forever and ever and ever, is that it sees itself from a different point of view over and over and over and over and over and over again, infinitely, infinitely, infinitely. But you have a simple structure to work with, and it is those foundational elements, that simple structure, that we also wish to impart to you so that you can understand how to use the structure to your advantage, how to understand clearly, how to see clearly what that framework is, so as to know, to use it to guide you in the direction that you really prefer. Because it really is very fundamentally simple. It really isn't complicated at all. And once you understand how simple it is and render everything down to that simple understanding, then from that simple understanding, you can create an infinitely complex and rich experience without it necessarily being negatively complicated. So the idea is to, again, have that paradoxical balancing of the simplicity and the richly complex, but in a way that serves you, in a way that's aligned with the vibration of your true self, so that you can experience the path you chose in life in the smoothest possible way, in the joyful way, in the most positive, constructive, ecstatic, passionate way that you possibly can. Does that make sense? All right. And again, please remember, these are not just nice ideas. These are not just nice sayings. What we are actually discussing here is physics, vibrational energy physics. It's the law. There are only, from our discovery, from our point of view, there are only 5 laws in existence. Number 1, you exist. You can't do anything about that. You will never change that. You cannot become non-existent. Why? Because by definition, non-existence doesn't exist. So you cannot become non-existent if you exist. It's the only quality you have fundamentally. So you'll never change that. Law number 2, everything is here and now. Law number 3, the one is the all are the one. Number 4, what you put out is what you get back. Number 5, everything changes except the first 4 laws. And that's all there is to it. That's all there is to it. That's the structure, that's the framework. And every single experience you have ever had, are having now, or will ever have, in this reality or any dimension of any reality or any civilization whatsoever, will be some combination of those 5 laws, and that's it. So the rest of it, as you say in your language, is your ball game. It's up to you to use those 5 laws in whatever way, shape, or form, to paint the picture in whatever way, shape, or form is most representative of the vibration of your unique perspective of all that is, because each and every one of you, each and every one of us, each and every being in existence is simply another way that all that is has of seeing and experiencing itself. So value your uniqueness. Validate your individuality. Many people on your planet have for a long time been under the impression that the idea of unity comes from homogeneousness, from all being the same. Nothing could be further from the truth. It is the true validation of every single individual that creates harmony and synchronicity and allows you to truly function as a unit. Thus, then, you retain your individuality, you retain your unique perspective and energy, while at the same time, because you are true to the unique vibration you are, you harmoniously and automatically fit with every other being also being true to themselves, in much the same way that you have a picture puzzle made of all these different pieces, and each piece is a unique shape. If each one of those shapes tried to be a shape it is not, it would not fit, and it would not allow the picture, the whole picture, to be formed. The only way the entire picture is formed is by each piece being exactly what it is, which means it fits perfectly with all the other pieces, and thus then creates the whole picture that can then support all the individual pieces that have made the picture up. That's how it works. So validate your uniqueness, and you will be yourself, and in being yourself, you will support the unique perspective that all that is created you to be. If all that is didn't think that your unique perspective was necessary in order for it to be complete, you wouldn't exist. Trust me, it doesn't make mistakes. So if you exist, all that is needs you to exist, because without you, all that is would not be all that is. It would be all that is except you. And that's not all that is. So self-validation, self-deservability, self-worth, and the expression in joy, in excitement of your unique self is the key. As we have said many times, and we will probably say again when we answer some of your questions, the only real formula that it comes down to is this. Every single moment that you can. Now, remember, this is actually a vibrational formula, not just a nice saying. Every single moment that you can, act to the best of your ability on whatever contains the highest amount of your excitement, joy, love, creativity, and passion, to the best of your ability, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further. and do that and keep doing that no matter how it looks, no matter what form it comes in, with absolutely zero assumption, insistence, or expectation as to what the outcome of that action ought to be. That's it. That's the formula. And if you just do that every moment that you can, I guarantee that when you get in that flow, it will lead you where you need to be led. You'll wind up exactly where you need to be, when you need to be there, with whom you need to be. And it will allow an explosion of ecstatic synchronicity in your life and create the effortless and joyful experience that you all say you desire. And it really is that simple as acting on that formula and knowing that if you do, you are using the basic structure of existence, and thus then it will support you in that positive experience in exactly the same way it has always supported you in any negative experience you chose to buy into as well. You see, you are free to choose. In a paradoxical way, the proof that you are ultimately supported is that you're actually capable of believing that you're not supported. You are so unconditionally loved and so unconditionally supported, you are allowed to believe you are not loved and not supported. That's how supported you are. So anytime you experience the idea, I'm not supported, I'm not loved, stop and take a moment to remember that the only way you could actually have that illusionary experience is if you were actually supported in your belief that that's true, which automatically means you're supported, you're loved. So why not be supported in what you prefer to be instead of being supported in what you don't? Why not? That's the ultimate question. Now then, while you're letting all that sink in, we will once again extend to you our deep appreciation and ask, in return for the gift that you are giving us, how may we serve you now through your questions and dialogue? If you have a question, raise your hand. You will be called on. We will interact. Thank you.